Hey guys, as you guys can see from the title, today we are doing comparison swatches of the new Beauty Bay Reckless Romance palette with a few that I thought might look similar, kind of is similar, maybe duping the vibes. I was on the fence of purchasing this palette. This is my first purchase of the year, and after examining it closer, I realized that I really don't have that much of this kind of color story combination in my collection. So I thought I'd include this one in my little wardrobe and compare it to other palettes that I thought I could get somewhat of an idea close to it. So I'm here today to either let you know you probably don't need it, or if you see something here that is a gap in your collection and you want to include this in your collection, then I hope this video helps you out. So we're gonna first start out with looking into this palette. Okay, so this is the newest Beauty Bay palette. This is called, obviously, the Reckless Romance palette. As you guys can see from the packaging, it's kind of what you're gonna get. It's like a grungy, muted, mauvey, pinky kind of color story. I don't have anything exactly like this in my collection. This is why I was reaching for this one and wanting this one, because I wanted really to have something that was inexpensive, that bridged that gap of this color story in my collection. So this palette is, I believe, $26 US dollars. I'll put everything up on the screen because I vaguely remember it. I did get this, just this palette on here. There are coupon codes. They do run so many different sales on Beauty Bay, so you could probably get this palette for like 15 bucks, $12. So if you want to wait a little bit longer, if you like what you see in this video, I obviously purchased it because I wanted to share it with you guys. So if you do want to get it and wait for a sale, that'd be awesome. So it's 20 shades as usual. It's nothing different from the other Beauty Bay palettes that I've had. So I'm going to open this up. I have yet to touch it. I'm going to put this on here because you're going to get blinded by it. So here's what the palette looks like. When I first saw this, I said to myself, no, because I thought there was more gray to it than there really is. In all reality, when you look at this palette in person, you're getting 1, 2, 3 types of mattes that are gray. I'm not somebody who purchases a lot of palettes with full on gray because I don't reach for them as often. But this was a nice palette that split it. If you see these first 2 rows right here, you're getting more of your pinky mauves. And then down here is more of your muted grays, silvers with deeper shades in them. So you can split the palette in half and see it that way, or you can see it as an overall look. This looks exactly like any other Beauty Bay palette you will get. You get those shimmery, sparkly shades in here. And you guys, this one is looking like my favorite one. In the direct sunlight, these just sparkle so beautifully. I cannot wait. I love that you are getting a matte black, but it's the only deepest shade like that besides this one that has more red tone to it. You are getting different tones in there, a little bit of a neutral warmth up here. This one's a little bit warm. So you're getting a little bit of everything with these right here. So I am going to go ahead and swatch this palette all by itself because I have yet to swatch it myself or even touch it. So we're going to do that together before we go ahead and do any comparisons with other palettes. I am going to go down. As you guys know, that is my thing. I like to switch it up from other swatches. So here we go, friends. Here we go. palette looks like, all swatched out. As you guys can see, it is the same formula as your typical Beauty Bay formula palette. Beautiful shades. In person, these all have some sparkle to it. Some of the grays are not as deep, swatched gently, as you guys can see, but built up, I can feel it. They are a little bit on the drier side. If you know the Beauty Bay formula, then you'll know this is just exactly the same. I went lightly into these shades to see how well they did if I was just using a soft hand versus going in really, really rough and then getting too much pigmentation on it. So I really like it. I'm really enjoying this color story. So now that you guys have seen this color story, we're gonna go ahead and wipe all this off and then do our comparison. First and foremost, I wanted to compare the new palette, the Reckless Romance, to the new Romantic that they came out with, I believe, 2 Valentine's Day ago. So if you did purchase this palette, you can see that this one's a lot warmer, a lot more purple based, red based, a burgundy based, versus this one is more grungy gray, more muted, more deep in that sense. Both of them have a black in here. And you know what I find funny is that their setup is basically almost the same. The first row has the shimmer in the middle. Second row is in the center. Third row is all 3 of these. And then the bottom row is these 2 right here. I found that funny looking at both of these. This one has obviously a warmer toned matte shade. Over here is a little bit more cooler tone. So you guys can see the difference. So if you didn't like this one but wanted those kinds of reds in your collection, burgundies, maybe this one might be it, because it's definitely a lot more cooler tone. So I appreciate that they came out with something that complements this one. So you can go warm, you can go cool. So I really, really like this new one. I was very excited when I saw it. So let's move on to the first comparison. The first palette I thought about, honestly, was the Love palette by Natasha Denona. You could see that there is quite a bit of difference. This is why I like doing comparison videos, because what I think it is, it really isn't. This is warmer toned. This one has more brighter shades, vibrant shades. This one's cooler toned and it has more grays in it than the Natasha Denona one does. I feel like the Natasha Denona one has a lot more pink, softer shades versus this has more gray in it than this one would. Even if I were to swatch Lifetime here and VIP here, you could see that these are pretty similar. And then you swatch it and you realize they are completely different. They look the same, but one's warmer than the others, you guys can see right there. This one is the Beauty Bay one, and this one is the Natasha Denona one. So clearly off the bat, I can tell that this one's warmer toned and cooler toned. So if you like the warmth of this one, you may not like the coolness of this one, or that's what you're looking for. And then this one has a matte black and this one does not. So there isn't much to swatch out of here. I don't see much that will really go apples to apples, just because they have different tones and you're going to get this kind of difference in all of these shades. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you like your warmth, then stay here and keep the one you have. If you want cooler tones, I'd go with this one. While we're on the Natasha Denona train, I thought of the Retro Glam one, right? Retro, is it Retro Glam? I can never get that one name right. So this is a retro one. So as you guys can see, this is more mauve-y, more softer, but you might be able to get something out of here like this. So we have Soulmate in the Beauty Bay, and maybe we can get Andy. Andy's a cream to powder, and it's a lot lighter. So here is Andy, and then Soulmate. As you guys can see, that's a lot more purple based than Andy in here. What other one do we see here? Rebellion and Paparazzi. Nope, completely different. And this is the only other red one, and it's even 2 red. So let's try to swatch Rebellion. I know this is another cream to powder, so it's a little bit harder to pick up. Cream to powder, and let's do Affair. So Affair has more berry to it, and Rebellion has more red to it. So this one right here. I didn't even swatch the brown one, because there is no dark brown one in there. So those 2 right there. What else do we have in here that I could swatch? I think that's it for comparison, you guys. There really isn't that much between both of these to say that they kind of dupe each other out. Again, this one, I feel like this is very unique in my collection because I'm not really finding exacts in here where I could have justified not buying it. Up next, if you're only interested in the top 2 rows and didn't care so much for the gray tones, I thought of Why Not from ColourPop. And again, as you guys can see, it's not really apples to apples either. This one has a lot more red-based browns with plum to them. This is really deep and it might go with Paparazzi. Let's see. This one is called, what is it? Vinter, I think it's called. And then Paparazzi. Yeah, see, it's more brown based. So these two do not go with each other. I really don't see much in here. Maybe this one called, what is that one called? Mull It Over. It's a red based. Mull It Over. Yeah, see, that one's more burgundy, more berry. And then the one in the Why Not is definitely more red. So yeah, I don't really see too much in here either. I just thought maybe if you had this one, you can kind of dupe out this one. But again, it's 2 different color stories. Okay, so what about if you own one of these large palettes? How are we doing with these large palettes over here? So I just wanted to give you guys an overview. This one is Stone Cold Fox. You thought of the cooler tones, the gray tones, this section down here and over here. It's still not as deep on this side. This side has more gray browns versus this one's more gray blacks. You guys can clearly see that these are a lot more deeper in gray and these are a lot more brown based in here. So again, if you like more of a gray, this is your girl. If you like more brown grays, this one will be your girl. But this one again isn't apples to apples. You're not getting the vibrancy of the plums, the reds, the bit of purplish in here. So I don't see it again. I don't see it, but I just wanted to share that with you guys as well. And the last one I thought about was the Rock Candy one. So obviously some of these are glitter that I pulled out and I rearranged them, but I thought about it because of the coolness, the pinkiness, maybe something in here. And once again, comparing them 2 together, maybe this one, Lava You, maybe to Soulmate, the red one right here, maybe to here. I don't know if this is original to the palette, but it's not 100% still. It's not 100%. So I can't say that Rock Candy is going to dupe out your Reckless Romance. It's still not. I still find that this is unique in my own makeup collection. I'm curious to know if anybody has something similar to this in their collection, so then I know, because I've looked through all the palettes and I really don't. I'm not somebody who buys a lot of cool tones, so maybe that might be it. But this one is looking very unique and different in my whole entire makeup collection. All right, you guys, so overall, I found this to be very successful in 2 reasons. One, I realized that this is definitely unique in my collection. I don't have much of it. And 2, you absolutely can pick and choose shades and dupe them out that way. But overall, as far as a color story goes in my collection, I really don't have something exactly like this, similar to this, somewhere where I can say, you know what, I could have skipped out on this. This is actually pretty unique, and I'm very happy with that. Again, I mentioned this earlier, I don't go for cool tones. I don't really go for pinks often or mauve, so maybe that might be the reason why. But this color story just called my name. I just cannot wait to try this one on my eyes. I cannot wait. Even this shade right here, like that's like a gray, taupey purple. It just, look at that. It just screams my name. I am loving it. I am loving it. I cannot wait to play around with this one. I'm thinking of doing 3 looks with this palette on maybe my YouTube shorts, so you guys can see that coming up. Let me know in the comment section what you guys want to see. Is this a palette you picked up? Is this a palette you're interested in? Is this a palette that you're going to skip out because you just don't like it? I don't, for me and my own preferences, I don't find that these 3 grays are a burden for me to have, because I can see these 3 grays working well with a lot of these shades in here, and they don't feel like they're out of place. So I'm very excited about this. I got to get into this palette quicker now because it's summer's coming, spring's coming, and I'm not going to reach for these kind of color stories as much, but I'm excited to reach for it now. So stay tuned for those kind of looks. I'm excited to see what I can come up with this palette, so I'm going to play around with it. If there is a palette out there that you have that will dupe this one, let me know in the comment section so we can all know as well. We can share each other's knowledge, but this is what I came up with. So thank you guys so much for watching. More videos on the screen for you, and until then, bye.